The crystal chandeliers shimmered above the grand ballroom, but the coldest thing in the room was not the marble floor, it was the way he looked at her. In front of the city's elite, the millionaire slowly shattered his wife's dignity with a single, calculated moment that left the entire room holding its breath. No one dared to intervene, except someone who was watching everything from the shadows. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be heard. She stood there, dressed in elegance but carrying the weight of silent sacrifices no one could see. For years, she had supported him through his rise, quietly enduring loneliness and neglect as his empire grew. Tonight, however, he chose to humiliate her publicly, dismissing her as if she were nothing more than a forgotten chapter of his past. The laughter around her felt louder than it was, echoing like a storm in her chest, yet she refused to break. Her strength was quiet, but it was unshakable. What he didn't know was that someone important had witnessed everything, someone who understood her worth far better than he ever had. And as the night unfolded, the power in the room began to shift in subtle but undeniable ways. Before the ending, comment respect if you believe no one deserves to be humiliated like this. As she lifted her head with quiet grace, something changed, not just in the room, but in her. Sometimes, the moment you are broken in front of the world becomes the moment you finally begin to rise. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to engage with the video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. The silence that followed her quiet strength felt heavier than any insult that had been thrown at her. People began to shift uncomfortably, their whispers replacing the laughter that once filled the room. For the first time that night, the millionaire noticed something different, not in the crowd, but in her. She was no longer shrinking under his presence. She stood taller, calmer, as if the pain had transformed into something far more powerful. From the far end of the hall, a man slowly stepped forward, his presence commanding attention without a single word. Those who recognized him immediately fell silent. He was not just another guest, he was a figure of influence, a man whose respect could build or break reputations. And he had seen everything. The millionaire's confidence began to crack as the man approached them. Without raising his voice, he acknowledged the woman with a level of respect that the entire room could feel. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was undeniable. In that moment, her worth was no longer something hidden in the shadows. It was visible, undeniable, and powerful. The truth slowly unfolded in the eyes of everyone present. She had never been the weak one. She had simply been patient. The millionaire, now stripped of his arrogance, realized too late what he had lost. His wealth could command attention, but it could not restore dignity once it had been broken. And as she turned away, not in anger, but in quiet finality, he understood that this was the one thing money could never fix. Before the story ends, comment dignity if you believe self-respect is more valuable than any fortune. As she walked toward the exit, the same doors that once felt intimidating now seemed like a gateway to something new. She wasn't leaving in defeat, she was leaving with clarity, strength, and a future that no longer depended on someone who failed to see her value. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't proving someone wrong, it's choosing yourself and walking away. If this story moved you even a little, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. You never know who might need this reminder today.